Good morning. Good morning. Today I'm speaking with Mrs. Angela Williams, and Angela shares about her journey as a teenage mother all the way through to where now she's running for office in the Austin area. And we just discuss her journey, and we also discuss mental health and what she sees occurring in many children or young adults today. And I just found the interview super interesting because she was very transparent concerning faith, family, and friends. And so sit back and enjoy. And remember, decisions, just like doors, take you places. How you doing, Angela?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Sean?
I'm doing really well. When you told me that you make a moment in your busy schedule for this interview, the first thing that I want to ask you, how did you become who you are? Just a little about yourself.
So that's a very interesting question. And my journey is one that has been transforming every day, every year. It's been renewing each year. And God is just surprises me every day with the things that He's doing in my life. So we'll start back age 15. We'll go back to 15.
Okay.
Because that's where, it was a pivotal point in my life. So at the age of 15, I met my husband. We've been together 31 years now. And praise God, I know it's all God. So we met when I was 15 at Leander High School. And at age 16, I did get pregnant. And so, what seemed like a terrible situation at the time has been an absolute blessing 31 years later. So I was a teenage mom. I ended up graduating high school. And when I graduated high school, my husband and I did get married. And then we had one other daughter. So our two oldest daughters. And then we waited 8 years and we had 4 more children. So we have 6 kids total. It's crazy.
It was worth the wait.
It was worth the wait. But it's been a very long journey. One that has been a blessing, but it has not always been easy. And, all the odds were against us, teen parents. They don't, normally stay together. The statistics for 2 people that have kids as teens is not high. It's very low. And so, we worked through everything that needed to be worked through at those times. And it's just been an absolute blessing in the end. But going through that, there were times of depression, unhappiness, not being satisfied with life in general. And I just continued to pray. Even in my darkest hour, I still prayed that God would show me the way, that He would have favor on me, that He would bring happiness and peace. There just seemed to always be a feeling of unpeacefulness, unhappiness, and just continued prayer. And so probably a couple of years into our marriage, I started attending a church. And I was there for 18 years. I started out as the children's ministry leader. And then I was also the women's ministry leader. And so my leadership foundation was in the church. And it kind of was, presented just because it was an opportunity that was there. Mm-hmm. My children needed a Sunday school teacher. So I was stepping up to help fulfill that need. But now looking back on it, God placed me in that place for a reason, to have that solid foundation set at the church, being a leader within my church community, and it's been a blessing. So we have our 6 children. 2 of my daughters are married, and I'm super proud of one of my oldest daughters. She's a school teacher in Cedar Park, in a Cedar Park middle school, and so she was the daughter that I had when I was 16. And that really came full circle of realizing the life that I chose to conceive my daughter and allow her to live. And that when she graduated Texas State, and then she became a mom, and then she became pregnant, and just watching her grow, it was just a blessing to know that she had life, and that it was just a beautiful thing to watch her grow. And also my other older daughter, she's married as well, and she has 2 children too. I'm proud of them. So that's pretty much, basically somewhat summing it up. We're family oriented. We're also business oriented. My husband and I have a small construction business. That's been our sole income all of our lives together. It's not, a super well-to-do big company, but it has provided our needs for 31 years, where he has not worked outside of that business. And I have handled on the back end the managerial accounting duties of the business. And it's actually funny because starting out our business, we marketed through the yellow pages. So there was no look online, internet, let me Google which business I'm going to use. So if you wanted to hire a company, you were going to look in the yellow pages. Well, I only graduated high school at the time. And so as we moved into the digital world, everything changed and our business was hurting really bad. And so my husband, he couldn't stop operations of what he was doing. And so I told him, I'm going to go to ACC, just take some marketing classes and figure out this online marketing, what it's all about. And that was all of my intentions, just to help our business at the time. So I started going to ACC, received an associate's degree, and then I started evolving again as a person. As I became educated, my interests started changing. And then I was able to help our business in such a way that for the last 6 years, we're 6 months, sometimes a year booked out on projects. So it's been very, very successful in pursuing that education. Even if it was just at the community college, it was still a great opportunity and a great learning experience. From there, then I went to Concordia and received a bachelor's degree. So I have an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree, and just continuing to moving on. I've been in my children's booster clubs where my oldest daughter is 29, the youngest, my son, is 10. So there's a long range of, I've been sending kids to school for 25 years.
You feel like you got it under control?
I got it under control. I'm just ready to stop making breakfast at 6 a.m. and packing lunches and snacks, but it's been good. So I've been involved in booster clubs, the Booster Club and other various organizations throughout the community. So my family, not only, involved heavily with my family, but in the community as well. And it just seems that my community involvement seems to kind of gravitate around what my family's doing. But it's good. I really enjoy being able to give back.
That stands out, the journey that you shared, because from having a child at such a young age, being married at a young age, helping your husband, or however it will be termed, you guys being in business, then you going to ACC, tenacity is the word that comes to my mind, and resourcefulness. So I congratulate you on the fact that when you were speaking about having that child at such a young age, you had to make a conscious decision. And one time I was doing an interview with a young lady, and she said she had her baby when she was 15. And she said, I didn't know you had to brush baby's teeth. She literally said that, and I said, okay, what happened? And she said, well, when I took my baby to the doctor basically asked me, have you been brushing the baby's teeth? And she said right then, I didn't want to tell him, I didn't really pay attention. I didn't think baby's teeth needed to be brushed. And she told him, and he basically told her to brush the baby's teeth. My point in that, there are a bunch of decisions when you have a child at a young age. And so I don't just applaud the fact that you had the child. I know that you had to do a lot of learning and a lot of thinking. And even when I see you at various events around Cedar Park or wherever, you struck me as very passionate. And so coming from being passionate as a mother, as a business owner, as someone attending school, I just continue to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing and share that. If you were speaking to a young lady who was pregnant right now, 15 or 16, because I work for Jail to Jobs, we've met at some different events, and there are a lot of 14, 15, 16-year-olds having children, and the bottom line is they're having the children. What advice or what encouragement would you give them if they felt like nobody really understands?
Right. So in my situation, I did have a good support system. I was raised by my grandparents, but they were the best grandparents I could ever have. And it's so funny looking back now. As a child, my hope was that I could have a real home with a mom and a father. Because even though my grandparents were so good to me, I could not have asked for better grandparents. A child always longs for their mother and father, regardless of what the situation is. Even we'll hear stories of adopted children, and they still want to find that biological parent. And so I did have a good support system. So I would talk to the young mom and ask her, who is your support system? And if she doesn't have that support system at home, to connect her with some community resources, some organizations that help step in and help young moms to have a support system. So number one is a support system.
Okay.
And also just let her know that it's not going to be easy. It wasn't easy for me, but I can promise you, you will look back on it and be thankful that you had that child. And all you can do is just also, pray. I would advise her to pray about it. Pray that God shows her how to be a good mom, shows her what to do. And so support system, prayer, and just knowing that it's not going to be easy. If you know it, it's not going to be easy, but you can do this. And it's giving, young moms hope. We all have to have hope. If we have no hope, then we have no reason to do anything. And so God, the Bible tells us that there's three things that will never fade away: faith, hope, and love. And so that is super important, is to help that teen mom know that let her have faith to believe that there's a better tomorrow, hope in that tomorrow and that future, not only for her, but for her child as well. And then love on her and let her know that she's loved and she's supported, and help her to find that support system if she doesn't have it.
That's great advice, great advice. One more part of your journey. As a wife and businesswoman with your husband, what was that like? Him supporting you supporting him as far as the business? Because I hear a lot of things about business, and I'm a sole proprietorship business, but wife, husband in business together, supporting one another. What was that like? Was there a lesson or something, a takeaway that you want to share with us?
Well, that's another story that's always evolving every day. It's evolving still to this day. I was telling my husband last night, get off the computer, let's go to bed. Because as a small business owner, you're never not working. You're always bringing work home with you. And so that's something that we try to balance currently to this day, is balancing. Now is the point that we're going to turn off this business mode, and just enjoy each other. So taking that time to not always allowing your business to fully take you over, spending time with your family, spending time with each other, my husband and myself spending time with each other, and not allowing the business to take us over and just say, okay, that's it. So it's been an interesting journey, I'm just thankful for God, because he always provided. There were times when we couldn't buy groceries, and this was, years ago. And that was one of the reasons why I stepped up to help. And I'm thankful that I was able to do that and able to help bring something to the table where I wasn't just sitting and doing nothing. So I felt very viable. I felt like I was contributing to helping figure out this problem. And it takes two. If you're married with someone, you're joined together and you're there for better or for worse to figure out how to do this. And we were just basically going to survive no matter what. That was the mindset. My husband has a saying, and he says it still to this day: failure is not an option. We can't fail. And when my younger kids, because there's still 4 kids in my home, we tell them failure's not an option. They'll complain about different little things. Failure's not an option. We're going to do whatever we need to do to overcome whatever situation it is, and it may not turn out in the way that we want it to, but we're going to give it everything we got.
Once again, I hope somebody's listening or watching these words of wisdom. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so what are your thoughts on mental health in these days and times?
So mental health is something that's very important. Even just as ourselves, we sometimes, get so busy doing things and we forget to take care of ourselves because we're taking care of so many other people. So it's good to take time to, relax, take a walk, whatever it may be. I have noticed, especially with my teenage daughters, that they're dealing with a lot of different mental issues that we didn't deal with as children, as kids, with social media, and everything that's online. And there's this image that they're looking up to that is not a real image. It's not the average everyday person as far as appearance and looks, or what you're supposed to be wearing, or your body type, whatever the situation is. And so I've noticed, especially with one of my teen daughters, dealing with depression issues early on. And so we worked through some different issues. I was very supportive, trying to help her work through that. And I'm happy to see her graduating this year. She is a senior. And it hasn't been easy, especially with COVID. COVID brought so much more to our teens and our preteens, so much more to deal with mentally. They were left at home to do work on a computer where we are supposed to, be engaged with other people. And then going back to school now, transitioning back to school, I have seen a lot of students that have fallen into truancy, missing a lot of school because they've got to get back in that routine. And it has caused mental issues with a lot of students that I've been hearing in the community. And I just hope to be a support system, not only to my daughter, but to any other teen that's out there that may be hurting or dealing with issues, because we can get through anything. If you put your mind to getting something done, it happens in our mind first. In our mind is like a playground, and we allow those thoughts to tell us we can't do that, we can't do this, we can't do that. But if you get the mindset that you can do anything, all things are possible, as the Word of God tells us. And when it says all things are possible, we've got to get the mindset that we can do this, and hopefully have support teams behind different groups. Like with Gel to Jobs, you guys do an amazing job of supporting people that are in the mindset that they can't do this or they can't do that. But no, we can do this. But if you don't have a support system, is so important, especially with mental health. And there are many organizations that are helping with mental health awareness. I joined a mental health awareness clinic in Justice of the Peace Precinct 3 in Georgetown. And it was just a room full of all different organizations that are working together to provide mental health in Williamson County. And it was nice to interact with all those different agencies.
When you're sharing that, a mother had shared recently with me. It was prom, and her daughter was going to prom, and they were at a dress shop to fit dresses. And so her daughter, her body type, she was looking for a particular dress. And so in her mom's mind, she was like, the dress she really likes, it doesn't fit her body type. And so she was concerned about what her daughter was going to think. And so when her daughter brought the dress, and the mom had already knew, hey, there's going to be a problem, she was like, well, that dress is really not going to work for you. How do you feel about that? Are you shy? Are you upset? And she was like, no, Mom, God made me just the way I am. And her mother said she had never heard her daughter say anything about God.
Wow.
Now, her mother believes in God, and her mother facilitates different activities that expose her daughter to God. But she was like, and I remember prom's like, super important. And so for her daughter, one of the most important events of her life, to say, I'm comfortable with me because God made me exactly how I am. Her mom had to ask her, where did you get that from? And she was like, Uncle such and such, he shared a scripture with me that basically told me that the way that I'm shaped, the way that I'm made, it's God. And so that came to my mind when you said that. And the other thing, I was recently watching a video, and it was speaking about mental health. And the reason that I paused, I want to try to make sure I get this correct. One of the doctors on the stage made this statement. They said, if you had a patient who had cancer and you told the patient who had cancer, outside of prayer, pray, but outside of prayer, to don't take any medications, just pull up your bootstraps, be tough, and it's going to be okay. And the doctor was stating that to say, if you tell someone who has mental health issues, you can be tougher, just push through. Mm-hmm. Or you actually tell them that, oh, there's no medication for mental health, And science has shown that there are some mental health problems because of the DNA and the makeup of the body. There's just some things that are lacking. Mm-hmm. And so an example would be a thyroid problem. That's not being tough. That's not working out. There's a physical problem. And so when you share that, a support system to me is crucial, because sometimes we get so much disinformation about mental health, or we get so much wrong thinking about mental health, meaning it's stigmatized instead of looking at it as that's actually a problem. Right. The same way, you have spiritual health, you have physical health, there's mental health. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to name names, but there's some basketball players recently in the NBA who have had mental health problems that their physical bodies are fine. Mm-hmm. Their physical tools are fine, but because there's something mentally going on with them that's a problem, they're not able to function. So I think it's not only very important, those individuals that you were in Georgetown meeting with, but the people watching this. If there's someone watching this and you have a mental health problem, know that there are numerous organizations and numerous people who understand and are willing to help. And I just encourage you, as Angela did, find those people, whether it be on the internet, whether it be at a local organization or whatnot. How would someone watching this, if they were like, how can I find some mental health communities that would help me, or different organizations? What would you share?
I would definitely look online. There's numerous organizations that will help, and each organization is tailored towards different mental health issues that you may be dealing with. But get online and find a place that works for you. Try out a couple of different organizations and see what is the best fit for you.
As we're rounding second, almost to third with the interview, my question would be, in the world today, as I was driving here, I had a thought that it seems that so many people would rather be divisive than helpful to one another. And that's just what I see. A lot of times, I have different discussions with people, I'll be present, and different individuals are having discussions. And it's like the climate today is people are looking for differences more than how we are alike. And one thing that has always boded well for me in life is whenever I'm in a conversation, whenever I meet anyone, no matter what it may look like to my natural eyes, I know that we have more in common than the opposite. And I just look for what do we have in common? Right. What do you think about that?
So you're very true on that it is divisive. And at the end of the day, we're all here on this planet together, and we should come together and find commonality, as you said. The Bible even talks about finding commonality and finding somewhere that you can agree on anything. If it's, I like red roses, well, you like red roses too. Whatever the situation is, and try not to be so divisive. We may have difference of opinions on different issues, or maybe the color of the rose. You might like yellow, I might like red, whatever that issue is. But let's do it respectfully. Mm-hmm. And not name calling, but respect each other above all, and allow each other to have different thoughts or different opinions on different situations, but do it in love. We should never bring judgment or condemnation to anybody. The Bible tells us to show love above all things. And so I always try to not be judgmental, and to always show God's love, and to find common ground with somebody if we do disagree, respectfully disagree on whatever that issue may be. but respecting that person, respecting that they are creation of God as well. We are all created. We are all here together, and let's work together to make it a better place. If we're constantly fighting each other, what are we doing to make it better? If we're fighting each other, let's find that common ground.
Something that I agree with you. Something that I shared with a friend the other day, I was encouraging them that if you just associate with people who are like you, I don't think you're going to become the best version of you. And he was like, what do you mean by that? I said, if you and I basically like the same things, have the same perspective, have the same upbringing, then there may be some things that are going on wrong in our thinking or in our behaviors, but because we're just alike, that'll never get exposed. But when you get involved with different organizations or groups or perhaps a church, you're going to be around a lot of different people. And sometimes when we're in the midst of people, I really say all the time, we're exposed. And what that means is sometimes we're exposed to, oh, I didn't realize I could do that. No one's ever asked me to do that, but you have the boldness to ask me to do that. But usually I don't associate with people who have that kind of boldness. We just stay in what we perceive as our place. But then there are other times that when people are exposed, meaning my mistakes, let's just say I'm a very arrogant person and the friends that I have are very arrogant, but then we come around you and you expose that arrogance. Instead of us being embarrassed, the proper dynamic of that interaction is that when being around you exposes our arrogance, instead of you being judgmental and condemn us, you help us to become humble. And at the same time, that arrogance, see, there might have been a tad of boldness attached to it to where you're a little bit timid. So you might, hey, you know, if you'd have told us that when we first met, well, I didn't know how to tell you that. Okay, well, that's why we're getting to know each other. You're smiling. What's going on?
That is just so true. And I talk to so many of my friends and I let them know you have to have conversations with different groups of people to get a different perspective. Because how can you understand the way somebody else may see something? Or how can you have them to understand the way you may see something? If we never have that open line of communication, because we only want to stay in one group of friends, one group of circle of whatever, circles you're running in, you never do get that other perspective. And it could change your mind, or whatever you have to say could change that other person's mind. But having that open line of communication to understand different perspectives and the way people see things that you don't see, and let them see the way you see things. But once again, respectfully doing that. But communication is key. Communicating and allowing to have those conversations.
And a point, anyone watching this, just realize that the things that we're discussing, I don't believe that Angela discovered these things overnight. I didn't discover these things overnight. And that's one of the joys of life. We're all living and learning. So don't just hear, well, I'm not there. No. Here, we're saying, Angela shared a little bit about how she got to where she was at. I shared a little bit about how I got to where I'm at, and we're still evolving. We're still on a journey. So just be encouraged that any mistakes or shortcomings you may see in your own life or others, just know that that's an opportunity for you to help them or for you to get better. And so what are you up to these days?
So these days, I am currently running for Justice of the Peace in Precinct 2 of Williamson County, which this area covers Liberty Hill, Leander, Williamson County, a small portion of Georgetown on 29, and the north side of Cedar Park. So I am running for office, something that I never dreamed or ever thought I would ever be doing. But God has a purpose in my life, and He has set me on this place and set me to do something for such a time as this. And so I am running for office, and it's an exciting time. It's a very interesting position too.
Okay, so before I ask about the position, I want to do an experiment. I want you to imagine you became the judge. It's 20 years later. What would you like to look back and say, I appreciated the fact that God used me to accomplish?
So one of my main priorities is the proactive leadership programs for teens. As we just spoke about earlier, teens dealing with different issues, truancy, missing school, skipping school, having mental issues that they're dealing with. And so in the justice of the peace, juveniles do come through the court doors, and they're either there for Class C misdemeanors. So that could be alcohol, tobacco, vape pens, assault, driving, different Class C misdemeanors, and truancy as well. So one thing that I am passionate about and I would like to look back on is that those programs continue in the justice court, that we are there for the teens in our community, that I helped to provide those programs and help to, the programs are all about instilling hope. When a teen may fall down on their luck, I don't like to use the word luck, but when they fall down, that they have some type of program that's there, that it's not just a punishment by fine. I don't want to fine you for that, whatever the situation may be,
right,
but provide them a program that they're court ordered to do. And that program helps them to see, yes, I made a mistake, but I can change this around, change this circumstance around, and do better and be better. So that's one thing, is proactive leadership programs. And that is, as a mom of 6, kids are very close to my heart. That's a passion of mine. And I want to help as many as possible, especially those that would come through the court doors, to make sure that we are there for the kids in the community.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that has not been spoken, or you'd like to provide a little more?
Let's go back on when you talked about not feeling like you may be at the place that Sean and I are at. And we're not, I'm not prideful about anything. Running for office is a very humbling position. It's one that is, you put yourself out there, and in my mind, it's just a humbling position that my name is going to be on the ballot, and I came from being a teen mom, and this has been a long journey. So as Sean said earlier, don't think that this is going to happen overnight. We are always transforming, and God is always renewing us, renewing our spirit, renewing us in mind, body, and spirit in what we are doing. And I fall short every day. I know you fall short every day. We all do. We all fall short. But just pray that, you can be better tomorrow. Have faith, have hope, have love. Show love to your neighbor, and just have that hope that you will have a better tomorrow. Put in the work that needs to be done. If there's a goal that you want to accomplish, figure out how to get to that goal. Set goals that are 3 months away, 6 months away, a year goal. We all should have goals in our life of where we want to get at some point in time. That helps us to have hope for that future. So set some small goals. If it's just a week goal, next week I want to finish writing my paper, or whatever the situation may be, set those goals up for success.
Thank you. I thank you for your time. I've enjoyed the interview. So you have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you.
Okay.